Welcome, guys, to my first live chat. So, let's start chatting and getting to know each other. And this is my first time, so let's see how it goes. Enjoy, guys. Let's have some fun, drama-free. Talk about whatever you want to talk about, discuss. No swearing, all that and the other, and let's keep it clean, age restricted, and let's not mention and advertise other people's channels unless I say it's okay. And we can talk about anything you like to talk about. We're going to talk about crime and cases that are in the news, and that the latest videos that I've done concerning the missing 4-year-old child. Let's pray that she comes back alive. We should not give up hope, because there is still hope that she may be out there somewhere, alive, that is. So let's start chatting, guys. And remember, this is my first live chat. I don't really know what I'm doing, and so let's start chatting, and let's introduce ourselves and get to know each other. And thank you for stopping by in my live chat. Hi, guys. Thanks for stopping by. We'll just talk about Maleah Davis, the little 4-year-old that is still missing to this day. Whereabouts unknown at this time. The mother is called Brittany Bowen. Remember her story? She got at the airport and she waited 2 hours for Darian to pick her up. She obviously called him and called him and called him and texted him, whatever she did, for 2 hours. And then she calls her mother, and her mother comes and gets her from the airport. Now, she does not go home. She does not go home, but stays at her mother's house. But there's some conflicting story there, because somebody else said that she had gone home and waited to 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and then she goes over to his brother's house or relations and says what she says. And apparently she was not the one that called the police and wanted an Amber Alert to go out for a missing child. It was some family members, which were not her family members. It was Darian's family members. So this is getting to be a strange case, because Darian, I don't know what he's saying, but he's not saying much. But he is, his family are speaking out because they want their story heard of conflicting statements that the mother has made. And she's changed her story and how their relationship was and is. Before Maleah went missing, he was a good man, a good provider, and blah blah blah. But She has since changed her story and said he was an abuser. She doesn't really say, he abused her, but abused her child or children in all kinds of ways. This is what she's saying, and this is her saying this. She's getting a lot of abuse from the public. Like, we're thinking she knows a lot more, and of course she lied about her relationship. If this is true, he was an abuser or sexual abused her child. She did nothing about it and knew about it for months. So she says, for months this has been going on. Well, apparently she hasn't had her children back for months and months, and her children came back into her care around February, because the CPS said it was okay for her children to go back to her, which she didn't have her child for over 6 months before that. And the hospital, whoever, could not prove that this child was abused, from her trauma to her face to trauma to her head and several surgeries, brain surgeries. And there's lots more to this CPS case than that is in the public. There's allegations that she may be the one that was doing the abusing. Yeah, well, let's not count her out right now. Let's not count her out. Let's talk about her as well. Yes, she is going to town. She's going to town on these TV interviews. I don't know if she's getting paid for them, but she is talking, and she's doing a lot of talking, but it's not for her child. It's not for the love of her child, because I don't see no love for her child. And there's a lot of people that said she really did not love her child. Maybe she disliked her child. And why was her children taken away for so long and taken out the home, out of her care for so long, for the injuries that this girl sustained, her head injuries, her surgeries, and it was not proven it was abuse. This is all I'm saying. If it's not abuse, why were her kids, especially Maleah, taken out of the home if it wasn't abuse or was not proven, or they could not prove it? They could not prove it. What does it take? What does it take to see this child was abused? Yeah, she could have fallen. She's 4 years old. Could she have fallen that hard that she sustained the injuries that she did from a fall and hit her eye on the table? Now, I don't think so. Not if she just tripped and fell. Unless she she could have been pushed and thrown on the table. Who knows? Just saying, it's an opinion of mine, and let's talk about it. This is alleged. It's not saying it's true. It's saying that we have an opinion that the injuries to her was just a fall on the table. It's hard to believe, but it could have happened, but I highly doubt it. Not the injuries she had. So, as we know, Maleah was last seen in a photo, a still shot of one of the neighbors that lives in the apartments. He has a camera. Video has not been released, as I know, unless the police have it. But 2 still pictures were released showing Maleah kind of lagging back, and he is walking in front of her, looking like he's not paying attention to her, and she's kind of running behind. This little girl has had brain surgery, and it doesn't look like he was, looking after her too well. Maybe he should have been carrying her, into the home. But anyway, she just looks sad. This poor little girl has had injuries. Then, a little later, I don't know what other videos they have or photos of activity going on around that apartment complex where he lives with Brittany and their other 2 children. 2 of them are not Darion's, but the little baby is Darion's, Vince. The next thing, like on the 3rd, he was seen, this is the photo, he was seen carrying a laundry basket with God knows what inside, but it's quite big enough to carry a little 4-year-old child. Just saying, it's big enough. And over the top was a black trash bag. I mean, we don't know what was in there, but we are surely using our imagination what could be in there, because this little girl was seen coming into the apartment, but nobody has seen any pictures of her coming out of the apartment. So maybe the police know more than we do, and they surely have looked at that man's video camera to see what information, evidence they can use against him, because his story changed a few times. Don't know why. Maybe he had brain damage too, getting bashed in the head and his head smashed into into the car. I don't know how he got his nut on his head. And also he's had lots of injuries over his body. Now he says that they were from him being like kidnapped or something, because he was put in the back of these 3 Mexicans' truck. I mean, that's his story. And he wasn't unconscious the whole 24 hours. He was in and out of consciousness. And along the way, he got injuries. He got injuries to his arms, stomach, chest, legs, arms, and of course, only a little gash on the forehead. But lots of scratches, or do you know what those scratches look like? Like when you go through the bushes, go through the trees, you're walking in the woods and you get brambury bushes scratching you, something like that. That's what they look like. They look like he had gone through the woods and got attacked by the bushes. Now, they're all over his body. And then he had a big gash on one of his legs. I don't know which one. But that also could have been from maybe falling, tripping. Who knows where he really got him from. But, he was abused, attacked by them. And I don't know why. If you're going to get kidnapped or something like that, or somebody wants to rob your car and they want a quick grab, like most people would do, they're either going to do some damage to you, but they're not going to kidnap you. They might take a child, but they're not going to take you along. And if they just want to steal your car, just say they want to steal your car, they would just take the car and kick you to the curb. Yeah. So, what did the kidnappers want with him when they kind of nudged his car and he stopped? He thought he had a flat tire. Okay. But they thought the little girl was sweet and they liked her. They didn't even... Why did they stop this car and target this car? How do they know who was in the car? Did they know a little girl was in there and a little boy? Did they? So, but who knew that there was going to be a little girl in that car? Who knew? Well, Brittany knew. Brittany knew exactly where he was going to be. He was heading to the airport. She knew that. How many other people knew that? What do you think? She knew that. Now, for example, an opinion, that is, what if the mother set him up? Set him up because she was mad at him, remember? She had broken off the engagement because, in her words, he sent naked picture to another man. That's what one of her stories was, and that's why she finished or broke off the engagement. Now, she broke off the engagement, but she never said she finished with him. I didn't hear anybody saying she's moving out next week. She's packing her stuff and leaving. When did she say that? Has anybody heard her say, I'm leaving him as soon as I get back from my father's funeral, I'm packing up and leaving him? and moving back with my mother. You know, did she say that? Well, I didn't hear her say that. She wasn't mad at him at first. She was sticking up for him, saying that it was impossible that he would have harmed her daughter. Yeah. But as soon as he was arrested and all these allegations were coming out, she changed her tune. She never said he would never abuse my child. I'm at the house all the time. Because apparently she doesn't work. I don't know why she doesn't work. Or the last time she worked, I don't know. When was the last time she worked? Because she didn't have her kids for a long time. And so, what was her job? I don't know what her job was. But she never said she was moving out of that house. And now all this is coming out and he's been charged. She's changed her story. Now this doesn't look very good for her, changing her story, because at first, you see, they both said they never abused this child and they never did the injuries to her, that she had to have brain surgery, or she had to have surgeries, and her eyes were swollen shut like two black eyes, but you know they were swollen shut. And this is from, well, both eyes. This is just from a little fall on a table of such. She had all these injuries. Her little face was so swollen like a balloon. And they never took her to the hospital. They never took her to the hospital at first, until she got seriously ill, you know, because she had a blood clot. But any child that has a knock on the head, or anybody that has a knock on the head, you better go seek some help, because you could get a blood clot and die. But she never took her child. She never took it very seriously. And she said there was no abuse. Nobody was abusing her child in that home. To the hospital, to the investigators, to the CPS, or anybody. As soon as he got arrested and charged with Maleah's disappearance, she changes her tune and said, he abused my child. He's been doing it for months. He abused my child sexually. He's been doing it for months. Yet she'd been lying to the CPS and the hospital and whoever, said there was nobody was abusing her child, or children, for that fact. For her children, she has 3 of them, 7, 4, and 1, or he's 2 years old, something like that. She has 3 of them. So, which is it, Mother? Which is it, Brittany? Which story is the right story? Maybe you're the abuser. Maybe you are. Now, has anybody watched her on TV? You know, these interviews that she has been doing? Well, she was trying, the point to getting out there on TV is to, if the story is true, that he did get kind of kidnapped and knocked out, she is not begging these people to please release her child and return her safely, for the love of God. I love my child. My heart is breaking. I'm missing her so deeply. I can't stand it any longer. Please release her at a hospital or, anywhere, a safe place, a fire station, police station maybe, or just in a supermarket. Go to a mall. I don't know. Drop her off safely. But you know what? There's cameras hanging around. So, but she's not appealing to the public in a right manner. She's not making sense to me. Her emotions aren't right. She has given up hope that her child is alive, and she has barely got out and looked for her own daughter. She's not even looking for her, and she gives reasons why, because the public hate her. The public thinks that she has a lot to do with this, one form or another. Now, could well be. She says she's innocent. Yeah, we all know the innocent plea. Everybody's innocent. Yeah, when they're involved in the disappearance of a child and accusations of abuse and sexual abuse that's been going on. And you did nothing about it. You could be making it up, but if you are not making it up, you did nothing about it to save your child from abuse. You stayed with the man. You could have gave your daughter back to who was taking care of her in the first place. You could have told the truth. You could have went to a shelter. You could have went to your mother's, maybe. You could have done a lot of things. But you stayed with a man who now is accused of doing something to your child. You never finished with him and said you were leaving when he was abusing your children. You only said you were leaving him or breaking up the engagement when you found out about the photos. Maybe he was seeing another woman. Whatever the case may have been. This is the only emotion you had. You broke off your engagement, and that was the reason you gave. Well, that don't make sense. But you would let him abuse your child and think twice about it. But when you see a picture of him sending text photos to another man, who, whatever he was doing, you finish. You say we're no longer engaged. That's what it took? It didn't take your kid to have brain surgery, abused, where her brain was swollen so bad, her eyes so swollen, and admitted into the hospital for brain surgery. You didn't finish with him then? No, you didn't. The fake tears, the fake emotions on these interviews that you have done, coming out of court, it's just your expressions and emotions are not there. For a mother who has just lost her child, she's missing There's no tears. And when you try to explain your love for your child, you couldn't even get the words out. There was no tears. You tried hard to get them tears out, to get your emotions running, but they weren't there. There was no love lost there. That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. No, officially your daughter is not dead yet, officially. But she is presumed dead because of the situation, of the unbelievable story that he has told and the lies that have gone along with it. That's why. And we don't know what's going to happen. We just hope that this child comes back. But when she does come back, she is not coming back to you. She's not coming back to you or Darian or the father, the biological father, because we don't know what the hell's going on with you two. Well, there is so many rumors out there about the real father and his involvement with, seeing his child. I mean, Darian was not involved with the CPS at the time. He was not involved with the CPS at the time. But, I mean, like the custody, all that and the other. Going to court for custody or whatever was happening. But Darian was in the house when the girl got injured. So yes, he is partly involved in that, but not in any issues that were going on. But she has been with him quite a number of years, so I can't understand why he is not in knee deep with this CPS and the investigations of abuse and neglect and whatever you want to call it in that household. Because he has been with her for some years. He's got a little baby with her. He's 1 or 2 years old. So they say Darian loved her 2 kids as much as he loved his own. Apparently he was supposed to be the breadwinner of the household. He worked a full-time job, but we don't know really if he worked a full-time job every day, because apparently he works for temp services. And the jobs that they said he had, apparently he didn't work for the post office. He wasn't like a mailman or anything like that. He worked through a temp service. So who knows what his job was. And she don't have a job. So somebody in that house has to bring in the bread, don't they? They have to bring in the money. Because apparently she don't work. She said she stays at home all day. So if you stay at home all day, why does your kid go to daycare? Who pays for daycare? Is that like preschool? It's for free? It's like preschool? I don't know. But they call it daycare. But is that preschool? Because there's a difference between daycare and preschool. But if it's daycare, who's paying for daycare? Why is your child in daycare? I don't know. Does anybody know that one? Anybody know why your child goes to daycare? And they say, was this child slow? She got other issues. And, they say she was born just fine. That she didn't have any other disabilities. And I've seen her talking in a video with her real biological dead father, and she was talking okay in that one. So, because of this girl's brain surgery, she may have some brain damage from brain surgery, because that's what happens sometimes. You get brain damage. You lose certain functions, and you have to learn them all over again. So, who knows? But all I know, this girl was sick at the time she went missing. She hadn't healed from all the trauma. That's all I know. At this time, there is something's good's come out of this. Because the other two children that were in her care are no longer in her care. That's one good thing. They got them out of the home. ASAP. After, I think, and this is my opinion, the mistake they made by letting this little girl ever go back into that home. That's my opinion. Now, they may be good liars. They look like they would be good parents. They did parenting classes. Oh, yeah. Well, she did what she had to do. She did what she had to do and put on a fake face. And she fooled, or they both fooled, the CPS, Child Protection Services, were fooled into giving these kids back and giving them a chance. And this is all backfired on them, and this has gone very wrong. And the outcome might not be good. They are still looking for her. They held up the search parties because of bad weather. Because of the knee-high deep in water where they were looking. And so they couldn't continue, and they were regrouping, and they were just coming up with a different plan to where to look. They're going back to where they were looking, but they got other places to look. Now, of course, he was missing for 24 hours. That's a long time for somebody to be driving around in a vehicle for 24 hours, in and out of consciousness. He never says, or I haven't heard yet, that they stop for gas. You can't drive around for 24 hours and not stop for gas. You can't drive for 24 hours without stopping for gas. Believe me. So, where did he stop for gas? Where did these people stop for gas? Did they? Because he said he was in that vehicle. They're driving around because he was in and out of consciousness. Now, and then when they did drop him off, they dropped him off and he had to walk to the hospital. But now they're saying he got dropped off at the hospital in the same exact car he said that was stolen. Now, they must have proof that he got out of that car, because he said he walked there, so he couldn't have got dropped off. He couldn't have got dropped off. Now, you have to have proof that you got out the car. Now, they're saying he got out of the car. That's what they are saying. But that might not be true, because you know how the press is. But that's what they said. He got out of the car. That's one of his stories that changed. That's what they're saying. That's one of his stories that changed. First of all, he walked, and then he got dropped off. Who was driving that car? If he got dropped off, if that is true facts. The mother? You never know. The mother. Because you know what? This story about him being, his car being hijacked, you know, and the kids and him put in the back of the truck. See, that could have been a plan. And it's backfired on them both. Because, you know, she stuck up for him at the beginning until his plan fell apart. Or his story fell apart. What about that one? That also could be true. That could be true. Now she went to her out of state to her father's funeral, and which they are saying that she hasn't seen her father for years and doesn't have much of a relationship with him. So, other words, there's no love lost there. But that's easy to prove. Whether she went to a funeral, whether she was at a funeral, there's photos, there's the phone. She got a phone, and that would ping her location at any given time. So that story would be easy to prove whether she was there or not. And the flight, you know, the flight, that's all going to be proven. They only subpoenaed the airport for the records and everything, what her flight was, you know, to back up her story, whether it's true or not. I don't know exactly when she went, but, you know, the funeral was on the 27th or something like that. So she had to be there for the funeral on that day. So there's not much else in this case, but Darian Vince's father is speaking out. I saw him, I was watching this other channel, and he was doing a live with Darian's father, who of course is sticking up for his son, you know, because he can't believe his son would ever do anything like this, ever. Well, he will say that that's his son, and he doesn't believe it. He thinks that his son has been set up because of Brittany and her breaking off the engagement for whatever reason she did, and revenge, you know, something like that, you know. So he don't believe it, that what he is arrested for and accused of, he said it's not true. He said that he was a hard worker. He's the one that brought in the money. She never worked, and he was working the day shift. He couldn't have done all these things she's accusing him of, because he worked every day. Well, he was in the photo, and what time was that? What time was that photo taken on the 30th that they were seeing Maleah and Darion coming into the apartment? I'm not sure what time it was, but he used to drop them off at the daycare and pick them up from the daycare. Well, what does this mother do? She don't do nothing for her kids or nothing. She can't go pick her own kid up, and if he's working, she can't, help out and drop the kid off at the daycare center. She can't do that. I don't know exactly what her job was in that home. According to, things that we're hearing, I don't know where she gets all her money from then. Who wonders where she gets her money if she doesn't work? I don't know what money she collects. I don't know. I don't know if she's collecting welfare or I don't know. But before she got her children back, they had, of course, the CPS was involved, and the DFPS sitters were involved and appointed by the courts. They are like babysitters. You take your children somewhere and they sit there and you are observed when you're interacting with your children. They're just there so you don't run off with the children or something like that, and they want to see how well you get on and interact, that kind of thing, because they have to make sure you are getting a bond with your child, stuff like that. The father is also saying that, well, of course he said his son didn't do it. He said the mother is no mother. Hey, a lot of people have been saying that she's not a mother. She gave birth to that child, but she is no mother. No. Not with everything going on in this child's life. Apparently she does nothing for these children. Apparently she don't do a lot. I mean, you got to hear both sides of the story, don't you? You got to hear both sides. You got to hear what we like to hear. We don't have to hear it, but we'd like to, put the pieces together and get an insight of family life on both sides. His father, her mother, the biological father. It's nice to get the insights of what's been going on in the relationship and how they ended up having their kids taken away, and injuries, and all kinds of accusations have been made against them, both of them. Who was fighting for custody, who wasn't fighting for custody. Apparently the father's saying that Darion was the one fighting for her children. I don't know how that is, but because he is not the father and has nothing to do with this. But if you're living together, you kind of do have something to do with it, because you got to be in that household with that environment. But she, as the mother, and the biological father have to sort this out. Custody issue, half and half. Why didn't he have custody? Why wasn't he allowed custody when this child was taken away and put in the care of somebody else? Why didn't the courts give the father the child? Well, they were sorting out what was going on in that household. I don't know. Just asking. We got to bring up these points. Why? There's a reason why? Well, I don't really know why they didn't give the father the child. Unless they have a good reason. But I don't know what that reason is. I'm just asking. I wonder why the father didn't take control of his child. But he didn't. Now why? Don't make sense to me. The only thing that would make sense to me, if you're getting abused in one household or accused of abuse and you're under investigation because of it, why couldn't the child go to his home with his family? Yeah, well, maybe that story will come out soon. The real reason. We'd like to know the real reason. Because there's plenty of things people have done that they're ashamed of and made mistakes. But why is the courts taking the child away from the biological father? Now, there's got to be a good reason. I don't know. It don't make sense. You're the father. You should take your child. And the courts, shouldn't punish you for it unless you've done something wrong. That part don't make sense, and to me, anyway. Brittany is probably moved out of that apartment, and because she got no job, she can't pay for the rent, or maybe doesn't want to stay in that apartment for some reason, and she's probably staying with her mother. And her mother is saying stuff as well that she didn't say before, but now she is saying stuff. Well, anybody could make up anything. It's got to be proven though, right? Allegations, but it's got to be, they got to prove it. They got to prove these things. So while this investigation goes on, they're looking for this child, plus they're investigating how this went down and why. Some people in the family have said they have seen her punish her kid. Like, punch her child. Yeah. That's what they're saying. They have seen her do it. And this is what I'm saying. She could have been the abuser. See that story she said about not going into the house because she couldn't? Or if only I went back, or blah blah blah, whatever the story was. She would not go back in that house for some reason. She never went into the bedroom. She made a point of that. Like, one time she said she always went and checked the bedroom. But this particular time, she never went in the bedroom. That rings a red flag to me, because I don't know why she wouldn't go into the bedroom. And she has no problem any other time. See, that's one of her stories. And of course, her story has changed a few times as well. The father says that they're setting her son up. Now they're saying, in other words, that she may have set this up. She may know these people that did this. Yeah. And setting them up for murder. What about that one? We're going to believe that one? Well, it could possibly be true. Could be true. Could be. But how far would you go to set somebody up because you're mad at them? How far would you go? How far would a person go? We'll find that one out. We'll find out the whys, the hows, and whos. So, the house, they're saying, the blood they found in the home. See, there's conflicting stories there, because one says it was a match of Maleah's blood they found because they took the DNA from the toothbrush. But then they say it was a close match to the DNA of a sibling. Oh my God. Now, which story is true about that one? So, yeah. So it's not Maleah's blood. It's her brother's blood. Now, there's too much blood going on around that home and clean up with bleach. Now, that much blood? Well, I don't know which story's true then about the blood. They said they found a match Maleah's, but now it's matching a relative, which is a sibling. Apparently, Brittany has said that because her daughter's missing, I don't know, how she said it exactly, but this will make a good Lifetime movie. This is gonna make a good Lifetime movie. So what is she out for? She out for the fame? She thinks she's gonna have a big payout? Money? Greed? Selfishness? Really? Now, why, if she mentioned this, why would she mention something like this? Your child is only missing at this time. Is missing at this time. You should be begging for your daughter's safe return. Begging on TV. Stop wasting precious time. You've made yourself look bad on TV. First impression sticks. Now, no wonder a lot of people don't believe you. They didn't even see a tear. Fake tears, that's all they see. Fake emotions, not real emotions. Maybe that's just how you are. I don't know. Maybe she's like that all the time. But we gotta find this child. It seems like the public has more emotions than the little girl's mother. And the real father is grieving. And now he looks bad because he's grieving off camera. It looks like this father didn't have nothing to do with her disappearance. And maybe he wants to be off camera and he doesn't want to be on every national TV program, in the news. There could be a court case coming up if this child ends up being found dead. And let's hope, they do find her either way. Just bring her home. Bring her home. And they also said that the mother didn't even report her child missing. It's the family members that reported her missing. And were making a fuss that they didn't put out an Amber Alert. Because to them, the child was missing. And when, I bring that up about the shirt he was wearing on that day with the laundry basket. He was going, that was on the day he was going to pick her up from the airport. He had a black sweatshirt on. It was dark in color. Well, it looked dark. It wasn't black and white. It was in color. And he comes to the hospital in a white. And it looked very clean. Now, I'd like to know where that white shirt is, that white sweatshirt that he came into the hospital with. Because if he was beaten up so badly, that's going to be full of dirt and what else? Sweat. He's been there for 24 hours, because he didn't change his clothes. When did he say he changed his clothes? It should have all kinds of stuff on that shirt. Blood and everything. Yeah, and like I said, the baby should be hungry. He's dirty. He hasn't had his nappy changed, his diaper changed. He peed it so bad. Now, when did the baby get changed? Well, remember, it's 24 hours. Did the baby eat? Was the baby crying all the time? Because he was hungry and thirsty. I mean, where's all that information? I hope the investigators are looking close into that. Yeah. Well. And they're also saying that the family were trying to get Darion away from her. Away from her. So it sounds like they didn't like her very much. Sounds like they're accusing her of being the abusive one. She's not right in the head. Yeah, kind of accusations like that. Now they're pointing the finger at her in some ways. That she had some involvement. And that maybe he's the one that helped her. That he's the one that helped her. Only time is going to tell. And hopefully we find out the true story. So guys, that's all I have right now on the Maleah Davis case. It's ongoing. She's still missing. And we just have to pray and hope for the best. It's not looking good, but until she's found, you have to still have hope that there's a miracle out there. They're still looking for her, and hopefully one of these two will speak. Maybe they're going to make a deal, like we say, first one to talk is the first one to walk. Yeah. And that is the true saying, because that happens a lot. The less of all evils. Yeah. Even though they both might be the evil ones. But what they're saying could be true. What they're saying could be a pack of lies. So There's some half-truths so far. They gotta prove it. Remember, guys, this man is innocent and proven guilty. And the mother is innocent and proven guilty. But she's not been arrested yet. She has not been charged with nothing yet. But she has had her kids taken away from her. Because CPS and the courts are taking no chance on this high-profile case. No chance. So let's hope they stay away for good. Because when things come out, and this is true about the abuse, and she is involved with some kind of abuse, and she don't deserve to get her kids back. Now she has to prove herself fit now. She has to prove herself fit. Because she's not getting them kids back. She had a second chance and she blew it. Because there are allegations that abuse went on in that household. So she's done fucked herself now, isn't she? Oh yeah. Yes, she has. So guys, thank you for stopping by, and see you next time.